Great. This is showing us live on our YouTube platform. I also see us live on Facebook. Just going to give this a few minutes before we officially get started and a chance for us to double check that we're seeing everything just fine.
Okay, and you can hear me just fine?
I can hear you and see you perfectly.
Good.
Hmm. Live on Facebook. They changed things up on me over here. All right, let's go ahead and get started. I just received the notification that we're live, so others in our network should also begin to receive that and can jump in and join our conversation at any point. Whether you're watching this in the morning right now with us here on this beautiful Friday, I look out and I'm like, it's kind of gloomy. It's still beautiful. It's not pouring down, so I'll
Not
take
yet.
it, right? Not yet. On this Friday, or if you're watching it in the afternoon or evening, thank you for coming back to us and viewing this. You can always rewind, rewatch, or if you are trying to multitask, put us on mute and have the captions going. I know some people do that as well. So one of the things that we always like to encourage you to do is engage with us on this broadcast. You can do so a few ways. First is by letting us know that you're on here and reacting to this video, whether it's an emoji, a thumbs up, or any of those types of reactions you can have here on Facebook or YouTube. Or you can also hit the share button, and that allows you to share that out to your network so they can also join in on this conversation. The comment section is your best friend for any types of questions you might have, thoughts you want to express, or opinions you want to state. That is also a feature that's available on both of our platforms. And thank you so much to Katie. She's already jumped in and gotten this kicked off. So Katie, welcome onto our broadcast. She's giving a quick good morning message or a hello over to our commissioner and myself. I was actually going to ask people, can you guys still comment? Because for some reason it wasn't showing up on my phone. Maybe I'm banned from comments. Am I in like Facebook jail and I don't even know it for like something, right? But hopefully you've got a photo you're okay with. It does pop up, your name does pop up, and the comment that you have. We'll pull those through, of course, at the very start as we're doing right now to allow the commissioner to see who's tuned in with us, like AJ, Sriji as well. And then throughout the conversation, if you have a question, you can type that in. If we don't pull it up immediately, it doesn't mean that we won't get to it. Usually we wait for a break in the comments or the conversation to bring that back up and address it for you. And the last thing that I'll leave you all with is to DM the page. If you ever have something that you feel is too personal to push out to others to know about, or a question that you have that's more exclusive to you, you can DM us. We'll get that over to the commissioner to be able to answer it. So we started these last month. Every last Friday of the month, we are able to visit with our Jefferson County Commissioner, Commissioner Tracy Kraft Tharp, to give us an overview what the county is up to, some hot button topics, and to answer some of our questions. Commissioner, you are always all over the place doing so many different things. So I thank you so much for taking the time to be on here with me.
Thank you so much for the invitation and the opportunity. And I want to start out, Juliet, by saying thank you to you and the Westminster Chamber for the Westminster Chamber event last night.
Yes.
It was an opportunity for our new county manager, Joe Kirby, to be able to come in and meet with people. And great conversations, great opportunity for Joe to be able to meet some community leaders in Westminster. And we really appreciate that opportunity. So thanks.
Of course. Well, thank you for attending, and of course for him for having an interest in building those relationships. I know that was a big part of his comments last night. And a quick plug in and shout out to Christina over at Capelli Beer Company for accommodating our group and allowing us to host an event in such a it was intimate in such a busy space. So that's always nice to be able to have that combination of programs going on at once.
And great nachos. And it was a good opportunity for Joe to get to know Cocapella's because, you know, they have the most amazing Hawaiian pizza.
Yes, they do.
Yeah, so that's the plug. Go there for your Hawaiian pizza.
Yes. And if you're not a fan for whatever reason of Hawaiian pizza, we don't want to know. It is the right combination and the right toppings. This is like an age-old argument that people have. I'm not sure why.
But this is a little bit different. It's a little more barbecue-y than the normal place. So yeah, it's a good thing to go try. Especially on a rainy weekend. I think we're going to have a rainy weekend, so that'll be a good opportunity for people.
For sure. Well, thank you for that plug-in. I know you've got a lot that has happened between the last time that we've met until today. So let's take the time to jump right into that. I'll do my best to try and capture some of the comments in the comment section for people to follow along. But I'll give you the reins on the rest of this conversation.
Well, good. Well, thank you so much. I have kept my list this last month of things that I want to make sure to bring up, but looking forward to questions from people and to be able to address some of their specific issues or concerns. But I want to start out with by making sure that everybody knows when the commissioners meet. So let me just kind of jump in that way. So at Jeffco, we meet on Tuesday mornings at 8 o'clock. We meet, it's a hybrid meeting, so it's both live at the Jeffco Administration Building, otherwise known as the Taj Mahal in Golden. As we start at 8 o'clock with our Board of Commissioner hearings, we start out with public testimony. It's a chance for everyone to have 3 minutes to talk on anything that they want to talk about of concern to them. We go through our meeting. We have different consent agenda items and hearing agenda items, and sometimes some land use cases. And at the end of the meeting, we have an opportunity again for public hearings. So really want to encourage people to attend that or attend that online. Was that me?
Yeah, you're still going on my end.
Okay, good. And then, so that's from 8 o'clock till sometimes 9:30, sometimes it lasts longer than that. After that meeting, we have our staff briefings where we move upstairs to the 5th floor to the staff briefings. That also is hybrid. People can come in and be able to be there at those meetings. There's not an opportunity for public comment or testimony, but people can attend to be able to hear. It's also virtual. And that will go usually a couple hours. That's an opportunity for staff to be able to brief us in depth around some potential issues. That is the stage before items go into this, the hearing meetings. Then on Wednesdays from 9:30 to 11, the commissioners meet virtually with our county manager and our staff. And that's more of a update. So on a monthly basis, we get an update on what's happening with housing and homeless issues. So that's particularly interesting for me and hopefully for others. But that's a virtual meeting, and that's an opportunity for people to hear some of the issues that the commissioners are getting updated on. So that's my preliminary to invite everyone, come join us.
Absolutely. And I think it's so important because I still see the question that often comes up, and that's how do I even engage, how to start providing my input and voice? And these are the ways that you can do so. And the opportunity to do it at any time, at any topic, if that makes sense, that you can bring that forward in any of those meetings is very important for people to be aware of at the start, at the end. And then if you're still not able to get out there to the building space, having the flexibility and ability from your computer, from your phone, or anywhere else is convenient. So we've typed all of those details quickly for you all in the chat section, so you can reference those for any future hearings that you might want to attend or maybe want to follow along with the agenda items.
And that's on top of course, email and phone calls. And then I meet with a lot of people, meet for coffee have one-on-one meetings. So if people have particular interests or concerns, I'm always available for that. So, but you're right. It's important for people to know, how can they connect with their county?
Absolutely. And it looks like when we were chatting already, we had our past board chairman, Brian Dice, come on here with us, sharing a good morning message. Thank you, Brian, for tuning in with us. All right.
Morning, Brian.
Back to you, Commissioner.
Okay, so I have a list that I'll start digging through, and we'll see if we get some questions from people. So the first thing is I've got some timely things for people to be aware of. July 15th is a deadline for those people who are eligible for the senior homestead exemption to be able to apply for that. And that if you are over 65, you've lived in your house for 10 years, you are eligible for the senior homestead exemption. Go on the Jeffco.us page on the assessors section. There's a form. It just takes a few minutes to be able to fill that out. That could be worth anywhere from $500 to $1,000 to you, and especially right now where the valuation of people's homes have increased so much, and our property taxes have increased this year. Really want to encourage people, if you're eligible for that senior homestead exemption, July 15th is your deadline. So I want to make sure people know about that. And just for you to know, the money that actually is a state program, and we get backfilled from the state for that. So encourage, and you only have to do that once. It's an amazing thing. You do it this year, it'll be there for the next couple of years. You don't have to keep doing it every year.
Oh, well, that's super convenient to know about.
Yes, definitely. The other thing that's pretty timely is today is the deadline. Today, a good rainy day for people to give input and feedback on the Board of Commissioners redistricting. So just like we did redistricting for the congressional races, for the state races, we are now doing redistricting for the commissioner races. And the Amanda Gonzalez and her office, the clerk and recorder, is leading this effort. She's got the coolest process. So even if you have no idea of what to do with the districts, I encourage people, go on our webpage, jeffco.us, and the clerk and recorder, and play with this. She's got a tool that you can actually draw what you think the district should be.
Oh.
It is so cool. So even if you really don't have any idea or you're not particularly interested in this topic, it's kind of fun to go on there and be able to draw what you believe that the map should be. But that deadline is today.
Okay. And what I've done as we were sharing these, Commissioner, is for the last one in particular, when we've talked about the exemption for seniors, I've included that link in the chat section directly for the property exemption. There you'll see about that senior exemption. You'll even see about disabled exemption and some other things that the county has out there that's available to you. On that very topic, we did have a quick comment that came through that I wanted to pull up onto the screen to allow you to be able to see it. I do, of course, want to read that comment back to you and see what you can answer for our viewer at this time. Is there any provision for a senior who's lived in Colorado for decades, moves to a different home, and still qualifies for that exemption? It looks like he's asking for his mother.
Thank you, Brian. So tell your mother that the bad news is, we've been hearing a lot of feedback on this for years. Chris Kennedy, the state representative from House District 30, actually has taken the lead in this. But unfortunately, at this time, you have to be in your home for 10 years and over 65. However, Chris Kennedy, Representative Kennedy, had a bill this last year that will implement a change in 2025. So that it will implement what's called portability. And that means that once you qualify, you can move that, have that exemption in your new home. That'll be a little while. So right now, unfortunately, it's the 10 years. But so tell your mother, still worthwhile to be able to apply for that.
Absolutely. And I think it just goes to show that sometimes these policies and bills that pass through that we have that create these programs adapt as the needs change, right? And where someone stayed in a home for decades on end is different than what we're seeing now, more so that transient opportunity. We talked a little bit about the redistricting for those of you that are, of course, interested in that interactive map or in providing your input on how Jeffco would be redistricted. I highly suggest that you take heed of Commissioner Tracy Kraft Tharp's comments. The link is included in the comment section for you. If you follow it, it'll take you directly to that redistricting page where it has all that information about the deadline, the current structure and what it looks like, and where you can provide your input.
You're so good that you found that direct link. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
And just for people to know, after everybody enters their input and their feedback on that redistricting, the clerk's office, Amanda Gonzalez, they will be putting together their recommendation, bringing that to the commissioners sometime in July, and then the commissioners will be making a decision on which maps we'll be going with for the 2024 election.
Mm-hmm. Awesome.
Okay, so that's my 2 timely notices. Now I've got some information that I think will be of interest, especially to people in the north area here in Jefferson County.
Can I ask you, can I interrupt you? I had a question
ma'am.
in my head as
Yeah.
soon as you concluded the redistricting, and you were like,
This
so
is good.
right, they'll provide input over to the board. The board then would decide on the redistricting. So that's different than when we look at our state level, where there was a separate board that was appointed to create that redistricting process.
That is correct. Yes. Mhm.
I just wanted to clarify.
Okay. Yes. Yes, that is right.
Okay.
Okay, good. So the first thing that I want to talk about is this is going to be so interesting. The crosswind runway.
Okay.
Da-da-da. So, we have an airport in the north part of the county up Washington, or Wadsworth, right off of 128. Our airport right now has 3 runways. And there's 2 regular runways that go east and west. And then there's what they call the crosswind runway that actually goes north and south. And it's a short runway. There is jargon and technology that one can describe this. If you are a pilot or if you are expert in this area, I'm a plain language understander of these issues. The airport has requested that the crosswind runway be closed down. Mm-hmm. And so they have come to the commissioners. The commissioners have agreed to be able to shut that down. That now goes to the FAA and to a community process that'll last about 2 years to go through that full process. So the question is, why are we shutting that down? We're shutting that down because it's only used about 1% of our operations, but the runway is having a lot of wear and tear, and it would cost about $14 million to be able to repair that runway. And the FAA has told us that they do not have the money and have no plans to be able to help the airport in being able to repair that. So we are looking at shutting that down. 1% of the time, it will be extremely inconvenient for especially the small planes, in that they may need to use surrounding airports, Erie, Fort Collins, Boulder, or even Centennial. The question has come up, will that have an effect on the noise of the airplanes from the airport? The answer is about 1% of the time. So we'll have a minimal impact, but it has been very convenient, especially for the small planes. And when we've had those wind changes, to have that north-south runway. So just want to let people know that's happening. And if you have an opinion, please share that with us, because this is the time in the next 2 years to share your feedback.
When it does move through the FAA, the next step with the FAA and then back to the community, would that be another opportunity for community members to provide their voice, or is it preferred now before it goes through that process, so there's not any additional things that could have been thought through?
It is preferred now, but there's opportunity for feedback all along the way. Okay. The second piece of update information, and I am doing the bad news first, okay, is Sim Street. I don't know about you, but I use Sim Street a lot because I live just south of Stanley Lake, and that's the way that is convenient for me to get up to 128 and to the mall or the airport or even to Boulder. Um, so on Sim Street, on the corner between of Sims and 128, there is a development that is happening. It's called the Verve development,
Mm,
and they have been in the process of being able to lease out that land and sell that land for the last couple years. And part of the process will be the realignment of Sim Street.
mm,
So, if you've driven up there recently, you've seen a lot of moving dirt. And so they're in phase one of this project. Phase two of the project will start about August 1st, and it will mean the closing of Sim Street. And Sim Street will be closed for about a year.
wow.
And exactly, which is why I'm bringing it up. We have information on our webpage that will keep people updated. We're going to put those big, those big signs with the blinking, this road will be closed. We'll put
Mhm.
that up about a month beforehand. So probably this weekend, you'll start to see those. So people know that it will be closed from about 112 up to 128. So the question you can ask me, Juliet, why? Why is this going to be closed for a year? And I
Yeah.
have been, yes, and I have been asking that myself. Apparently, what they need to do is they need to move the utilities from where they are in
Mm,
the old Sims to the new Sims. And to
mhm.
be able to do that, they need to totally shut down the old Sims to be able to make that transition.
Oh,
Yes. So it's big, it's huge. We are here in Colorado. We're used to construction season. We're used to being inconvenienced by construction. And I'm sorry to say that Sim Street it will be part of that inconvenience for about a year.
right. Well, we have included as well the link for projects. If you follow this link, it'll have a link to road closures and details. It also looks like CBS covered this story as well at some point. Might have been at something else. I won't include that link because it's talking about something else. But that is great to know. Sims is a road that's traveled quite frequently. So people need to keep that in mind when they are commuting or going through our communities and hopefully can find some alternative routes.
Yes, definitely. And sorry, you know, I think none of us are going to be unhappy, but we'll be very happy when it's completed.
Mhm.
So the last piece of update that I want to bring is what's called Together Jeffco. And Together Jeffco, I talked a little bit about this last month, but we didn't have a tag name on it. So Together Jeffco is a way for people to remember this. So planning and zoning.
Mhm.
Planning and zoning is probably everyone's not favorite process when you're doing development or you're building the new deck on your house or any of those things. That's the process where you come into the county. You look at the county looks at what you're doing. Or do you fit within current zoning? If you do, let's develop a site development plan. If you don't, then going through the rezoning process. It's not just Jeffco, but everywhere. It's a cumbersome process.
Mhm.
And over the years, there have been little new regulations that have come in, like a new letter that has to be signed. And so over the years, they've said, okay, let's do that on week 4. Oh, here's another new regulation or a new letter that needs to be signed. Yeah, we'll do that on week 7. So
Mm.
our planning and zoning department have now decided that they want to take that planning and zoning process, tear it totally down, rebuild it back up, and rebuild that to be more efficient and more effective.
That sounds amazing.
I think it could be very amazing.
Mhm.
And in that process, there's different plans in the county that we work on and that we update on a regular basis. And this will be an opportunity for us to be able to do that, like our transportation plan, our wildlife plan. So there's a number of different plans that in this process we will be looking at. This is a process that is we need public input, public feedback. It also is on jeffco.us. You could sign up for updates. It's called Together Jeffco. They will be at different fairs and festivals and events this summer. And they also will be meeting with different groups to get their feedback. So if you have any experience in planning and zoning, we want to hear from you. What works, but also what could be better and how could it be better? Because if we want Jeffco to be the most efficient and effective, we need to have your feedback to be able to do that.
Absolutely. And so many ways to engage. If you follow the Together Jeffco, you'll learn more about this effort. And then if you follow the link right below that as well, it'll take you directly to a QR code, the news release, and other features of staying up to date on what's going on. And I did check, there is no N right after the O, so that's not a typo. Just copy that link and paste it in and it'll work. Isn't that funny? I was like, I wonder if that's going to, no, that's the right link. It'll take you over to the plans and regulations updates page, as Commissioner Kraft Tharp was referencing. It'll also take you to the section where, as a resident, business owner, or visitor, you can provide your opinion and participate in those workshop surveys, and learn more about the open houses that will continually come up throughout this process as well. So we've covered a number of things, Commissioner, from Together Jeffco. We've talked about the road closure for Sim Street, which is a huge closure for about a year. We've even touched on the airport and one of their crosswind runways needing to be shut down, and what that process will look like over the next couple of years as well. And we highlighted other ways that people can be involved as residents that may seek exemptions, whether you're a senior or if you have an interest in helping to map out what the district looks like. That deadline's, of course, today. A lot of these items were covered in the chat section, but that does not mean that you should not be listening more to what Commissioner Kraft Tharp is sharing instead of reading what I'm frantically typing out. So sometimes I will lose a word or two or put in a typo here and there. So be sure that you rewind, rewatch, and follow those links so that you can be updated on some of this information that was shared out. Was there anything else you wanted to highlight before we close this out for folks, Commissioner?
What I just wanted to say is all this information is on my Facebook page at Tracy for Jeffco. So if you wanted more information, please join me, visit me at Tracy for Jeffco.
And if you haven't already, the link for Tracy's Facebook page, the public page, is available for you as well, so that you can stay up to date by following this link. Now, Monday, we will not have our normal broadcast, of course, because it's the day before Independence Day. So we are going to come back to you on the 10th instead of July with some updates. And it'll be a lot of updates because it'll include this past week, this next week, and then what's coming up on the 10th. Still stay tuned with us. We'll have our usual network welcomes. We've pushed out our after hours by a week to accommodate for the 4th of July. And of course, while our office is technically closed, you can always still try and reach out to us, as we'll monitor if there are any immediate emergencies we need to reach back out to you on. With that, I want to thank you all for tuning in with us. Thank our commissioner for highlighting all of these items and being always so prepared with a number of things for us to know about, be aware of, and engage on as well. I wish you the best weekend, and to, of course, avoid getting wet as much as possible if it does come down.
Thank you so much for the opportunity to be able to do this. Happy 4th of July.
Thank you. Same to you, Tracy.